too many people are accessing too few streaming servers. Sometimes, like the Oscar stream, Hulu's computers just couldn't authenticate subscribers. You see, the internet was designed for point-to-point communication. It was never designed to broadcast to everyone. So just expect glitches when we're talking about major events. Sign up for my free newsletter at getkim.com. As a small business owner, you don't have the luxury of clocking out early. Your business is on your mind 24/7. So when you're hiring, you need a partner that grinds just as hard as you do. That hiring partner is LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn makes it easy to post your job for free, share it with your network, and get qualified candidates that you can manage all in one place. Their new feature can help you write job descriptions and then quickly get your job in front of the right people. Either post your job for free or pay to promote. Promoted jobs get 3 times more qualified applicants. At the end of the day, the most important thing to your small business is the quality of candidates. And with LinkedIn, you can feel confident that you're getting the best. Find out why more than 2.5 million small businesses use LinkedIn for hiring today. Find your next great hire on LinkedIn. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/Kim. That's linkedin.com/Kim to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Do it today. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/Kim.
Talkback is sponsored by The Clinics. With 27 providers and 3 locations, someone can see you today.
It's Talkback, Central Louisiana's longest-running talk show. Whether it's the guests or the callers, Talkback is where Central Louisiana begins its conversation.
Good morning, Central Louisiana. Happy Thursday to you. Terrific Thursday with Trish and Nathan here on Talkback this morning. Glad to have you along for the ride. Trish, good morning to you. How are you?
Good morning. It is a beautiful Thursday morning out there, isn't it?
It is absolutely gorgeous. I tell you, the weather is nice. The sun up. It felt like it was up a little bit earlier than normal. I don't know.
Actually, I thought about that as I was leaving this morning because, nice and brisk. So it is still a little cool this morning. Grab that jacket on your way out. But as I was leaving, the sun was rising, so I could actually see something as I went to get in my car. And I thought, how nice is this? Before 6 a.m., starting to have a little bit of light out there, and then watching a beautiful sunrise as I come into my office. And then I realized, you know what? Come Sunday.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Come Sunday, that's going to go away.
Forward.
So if all of you have forgotten about it, Spring Forward happens on, Saturday night, Sunday morning.
Right.
We lose that hour.
You know what's really interesting about that Spring Forward time? Daylight saving, not savings, but saving time.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's no S.
I call it savings.
I know, but that's one of those things that we do. But daylight saving time begins,
like that.
And the idea of that, it used to be such a pain and a chore to have to go through your house. But how many now?
Right.
You know, so many of them are just automatic, thankfully.
You're right.
I have maybe
You're talking
2.
about clocks, by the way.
I'm talking about clocks. Having to change your clocks before you go to bed. You know, my watch changes, my phone changes,
everything
my computer
changes automatically.
My car changes.
Right.
Everything is lovely. So.
Yeah. Although I do remember, it would take you how long to change some of those?
Right.
Because if you didn't go and do them all at once and you went, oh, wait, we still haven't changed that clock or that clock. But
maybe why some people leave them just blinking on 12 on the VCR. Remember that?
I do remember that. And actually, my alarm clock by my bed is still blinking 12. And I've stopped. I turned it around. I stopped using it because I use my phone for my alarm.
Right.
Instead of sitting there with, pushing that button and trying to reset, I have 50 alarms on my phone. I just pick which one do I feel like having in the morning.
That's right.
And some of them are only a minute apart.
Mm-hmm.
It just
You're
depends.
one of those people.
I am.
Are you really?
And it just depends on, as I'm going to bed, the way I feel, I'm going to feel in the morning.
Because a 5-minute snooze is too much time, so you need a 1 minute.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's hilarious.
And I'm no longer a snoozer. When I was in high school, I was the worst of snoozers because I would purposely set my alarm like 45 minutes early because I would hit that snooze button so many times. But my husband hates the snooze button.
Oh, my God.
So I have now been trained. It goes off. I might hit it like I'm going to snooze, but I really don't.
So, but you said you have them sit like a minute apart. So what's the purpose of?
I only set one. It just depends.
Oh.
Again, when I'm falling asleep, I think, how am I going to feel at this time in the morning? Which exact time do I want my alarm?
Do I want to get up at 4:57 or 4:58?
Yes. Or 501.
Oh my goodness. Okay, I don't do that. I have a Tuesday, Thursday alarm because I'm here on Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Good. I'm glad you have a special alarm for these days.
Special Tuesday, Thursday. And then like last week, I was here Monday and Wednesday. So I just clicked the little buttons and added the M and the W.
Oh, yeah. No, I don't. No, that's too much. I just have a different one and I pick which one.
That's why you have 50 and I have 3.
Yeah.
So, okay. I have a Sunday morning alarm.
And again, I have the 3 different whole screens on my Mac right here with 50 tabs atop of each one because it just depends.
I am a tab master.
I never know which one I'm going to want. But yeah, beautiful. That was all from Beautiful Morning out there. And don't forget, we are springing forward on Sunday, which some of those automatic clocks think they know when we're springing forward and fall backing, and they do it on the wrong weekend. So you do have to kind of pay attention to them sometimes. So
because it has changed over the years.
It has changed.
And there's legislation being introduced to possibly keep it on daylight
Well,
saving
it's been
time.
passed by our state. Louisiana has passed it. So one of these days, if we actually pass it through Congress,
right,
we will automatically then, and it's the daylight savings time that we keep, right?
Right.
That's what I thought.
My understanding. So interestingly, that's one of those things where it has been passed by the Louisiana legislature, and you kind of think, well, but it'll never happen. But in the same way, Louisiana legislature passed stuff like for the WEP, State Representative Mike Johnson was one of the ones that led that fight to get the pension for people who pay into like government pensions. They were losing their Social Security on the side, and a lot of folks thought, well, it'll never pass on the federal level, even though it was passed on the state level. It did eventually get passed.
We had some great champions up there in D.C. working on that for us.
So this daylight saving time may change as well. Elon Musk even put out a poll today asking people which one do they want to keep.
Did he really?
He did. Yeah, on his.
How's the poll going?
I didn't see the out. I just saw he posted it. I didn't click on it. It's one of those things you got to click on it to see, and I didn't.
I don't care which one. I just want to stay one. Yeah.
Now I like the fallback in the fall. I love the extra hours.
I'm trying to do that too. Yeah. And then when our kids were young, it is so difficult.
Oh yeah, and dogs don't know.
Yeah, but my dog,
No, I mean,
it's not going to matter to him.
I have friends whose dogs, they're going to go outside. They want to go outside at the same time every day. They don't care that the clock's changed an hour. Their body tells them it's time to go outside. And so those people, they don't get to sleep that extra hour in the fall. All right, we're going to talk back on Thursday morning. The conversation is deep right here. We have a lot to talk about. We joked before the show that sometimes we'll come in and it's a slow news day. There has not been a slow news day since President Trump became president.
Yeah, I think you're right about that.
There's tons of stuff to talk about, and we have a good bit to talk about. We do not have any guests in studio today. We do have a caller at 7:50 that's going to call in and talk about a fundraiser for a 9-year-old Central Louisiana boy who needs some help with resources to travel to Cincinnati Children's Hospital a couple of times a year. So we'll have a caller talking about that. Calling in at 7:50. But outside of that, it's open for you.
It's you. It's your show today. So call us. Tell you what you want to talk about. See, this is when you know it's live radio.
That's right.
When you get tongue-tied. I've got a couple of things. That I've had some listeners reach out to me about.
Before you do that.
I'm not going to talk about them yet.
Okay, no, it's fine. But the BOM hotline number.
Oh, there you go.
318-442-8255.
Very important to get that in there too. But yeah, yesterday, there were things that I was going to bring up yesterday, but I mean, the whole show was one topic.
The not State of the Union joint address.
Whatever you want to call that address. Right. Yeah, exactly.
Well, and we have spillover today from that. There's still a few things to talk about from that, but you guys did a great job of encapsulating that show yesterday. And then when Greg came in early, y'all talked, elder law of 10 minutes, maybe.
We didn't even get 10 minutes of elder law. We got 0 minutes of elder law. Actually, there might have been 30 seconds of it towards the end of the show. I know, and you never know. Again, when Greg Walker comes in, you just never know. And I kind of sit back and go, okay, here you go.
Well, I heard some wrestling conversation and all kinds of stuff.
I know, it took me a minute. Al had a wrestling reference right at the beginning there, and it took me a second to figure out what he was talking about. I'll admit that.
I think he was talking about John Cena starting to become the heel.
Yeah, and I was like, what the? And then I realized, this is wrestling. So, again, I'm just here. I'm here to push the buttons on the computer. That's all.
Speaking of the buttons on the computer, you are able to watch us live on Facebook and on YouTube. So something you might want to try out. I had a friend message me overnight. Hey, how can I watch that? I said,
really?
Send them the links.
Yeah.
And engagement
and
is
YouTube, you can, the advantage of YouTube, you can go subscribe, then you'll get notifications, all of those kinds of things there. So, easy to watch us these days.
Very much so. The notifications are helpful. And of course, you can go back during the day and watch it as well, but you miss out on the opportunity to call in live.
Right.
I was commenting Tuesday, Chad Soprano, one of the directors here, asked me to pop in his office afterwards, and we were talking. I said, I don't know how y'all do it, but the app in the past has always had about a 20 or 30-second delay. If you listen to it on 104.9 or 100.3 HD3, there's a little delay.
Right.
The Facebook and the YouTube have almost no delay. It's literally boom right there. And for me as a caller, I sometimes you're listening on the app and you want to call in, and then by the time
you're a little
call,
and
they've already on to another topic. So that's kind of nice. We do have a call. I hesitate to go because we have.
I know we got a commercial here in 2 minutes.
And so if it's our normal first caller, I'd hate to cut him off. But I'll tell you what, I'm gonna go ahead and do it. I'm gonna go to the call. And good morning. You're on Talkback with Trish and Nathan.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm the normal first caller or not.
You're the normal second caller, Brian.
Actually, yeah, you're right. That is usually the normal second caller call.
Yeah, I need to go back and watch the speech because I fell asleep after the congressman started yelling and they escorted him out. Then I fell asleep like 30 seconds into it.
Oh my God!
You missed an hour and a half.
You did the longest. Of course, it was the longest in history, but it was hard to fall asleep to in my mind.
Right?
You must have been tired.
I was tired. My dogs will wake me up at 3, like all kinds of hours in the night, like 12:30, 2, 3:30. It depends on sometimes 4 times. So I'd had like 3 straight mornings of that.
Wow.
So I was just turning it on. I forgot the thing was even on.
Time for a new dog.
I was just flipping through the channels and it just happened to start. Like, okay, I'll watch this. I wonder what he'll say. And then the only thing I saw was the most entertaining part. It was pretty entertaining about the. I don't even know if that was planned or not. He probably knew he was going to get kicked out. But
Representative Al Green from Houston, Texas. I actually met him a few years ago. He spoke at an event here in Pineville.
Oh, really?
Probably 15 years ago or so.
Yeah.
And very engaging fellow in person.
Really?
But I think he planned to get kicked out.
Yeah.
I think he really.
Yeah. He knew what was going to happen with that. But
yeah. So anyway, but I need to go back and watch it because I really don't know much what was said. I had a full day yesterday of doing different stuff, and I didn't have time to even check.
Well, you can listen to yesterday's show. Al recapped all of it for the most part yesterday on the show too. Yeah. Yep. Although I forgot to start running the video at the beginning of the show, so you did miss a few of his good highlights if you're watching it from that. But go to the on demand on the app, and you'll hear all of it.
I might go to the Daily Show, just catch that. They probably have a good recap.
They do. Well, I listen to the Morning Wire as part of my morning rep, and they always have. That's only about a 15-minute show, so I can. And I've learned a little secret, by the way. When I use Spotify to listen to podcasts, and I set the speed at 1.25 speed, and that way I can get through them a little faster. You still hear them, and they understand, but they just talk really fast like me, so it works out really good.
It works really well for me, too, because, again, I'm a bullet point person. So when you sit here and it takes you 5 minutes to say one thing, like just get to the point, spit it out, let's go.
That's right.
Yep, that works.
Yeah,
go
so
back, listen to it, and get caught up.
I don't know if I have an hour and a half really to watch it, so I may get highlights of it because I don't have an hour and a half to sit in front of anybody's speeches. I don't care how good it is.
Well, that's where find somebody that gives you the top 10 moments of it, and just read that. You'll be good.
You'll be good.
Well, thank you, Brian. Thanks for your call, man.
I had to go back and listen on the show yesterday, so
that's worth listening to.
Always worth listening to.
I'll just do that. All right.
All right, Brian.
All right.
Have a great day. Bye-bye. All right, that's how easy it is. 318-442-8255, the BOM talk line number. Give us a call this morning. Be part of the show. Make news. Don't just read it. We'll be right back after this.
Talkback is sponsored by The Clinics with 27 providers and 3 locations. Someone can see you today. Stick around. More of Talkback is on the way.
This is a Bloomberg Money Minute. Macy's gave a more downbeat outlook for sales and profit this year than Wall Street had been expecting. The country's largest department store operators forecasting net sales in the current fiscal year was below the average estimate from analysts surveyed by Bloomberg. Macy's also said it's expecting sales from e-commerce in stores that have been open for at least a year to fall by as much as 2% this year versus the prior year. President Trump has agreed to exempt car companies from the 25% tariffs on goods imported from Canada and Mexico for 1 month. The temporary exemption was granted after auto industry leaders asked for more time to develop plans to move more production and investment to the U.S. Home Depot is turning to tech by using generative AI to improve online shopping, including featuring a new tool to answer shopper questions. Other upcoming features will include design ideas and product comparisons. The home improvement giant is looking to bring a similar level of customer service from its stores to its website, especially for unfamiliar products. Dan Schwartzman, Bloomberg Radio.
Did you know at Alexandria International Airport, you can go from roadway to runway in minutes? From the bustle of Jackson Street to the magnificent Mile in Chicago. From the lights in Natchitoches to the lights of Broadway. From downtown Pineville to the great Down Under.
G'day, mate. How's it going?
AEX, your destination to the world starts here. To book a flight or for more information, visit flyaex.org.
Great! You use chemicals and a snake, but your drain pipe still isn't draining, and you can't get to it because it runs under your concrete slab. Time to call Southern Air Heating and Plumbing, because they offer trenchless pipe repair. What's trenchless? Well, that means in most cases, they can fix it without busting up your concrete or digging a huge trench. It's mean and clean, no muss, no fuss. Go trenchless. Call Southern Air at 318-777-5555 or visit online at southernairnow.com. If you'd like to take part in the show today, call the BOM Bank Talk line at 442-8255. That's 442-TALK. And remember, if you're looking to purchase or refinance your home, call Christina Bagwell at the BOM Bank Mortgage Department at 448-2430.
So, to take part in the show, call 442-8255. That's 442-TALK.
Welcome back to Talk Back on Thursday. It's not Tuesday, it's Thursday.
Today's Thursday. It's
And-
National Oreo Cookie Day. Did you know that?
I did not.
If you like Oreo cookies, here's your day.
It was also National Dentist Day. So after you eat your Oreo,
It is.
go to the dentist.
Because could you imagine
We need to
eating an Oreo right before you go into the dentist?
That would not
Oh.
make the dental hygienist very happy.
No, I was sorry to all the dentists out there that have to deal with people
They would
eating Oreos.
earn their money for
Yeah.
sure. All right, let's go back to the phone line. Good morning. You're on Talk Back with Trish and Nathan.
Hey, good morning, and thank you for taking my call.
Good morning, sir.
If Brian will find a recording of the speech and fast forward the applause, it'll be less than an hour.
Actually,
a
you're
great
right.
point.
You're
Absolutely.
right about that. Yeah.
It's true that drug it out. But even with all that, he was only 2 minutes over Bill Clinton's speech, and it moved really fast because it was so exciting.
So much
But
content.
I was actually calling about the Democrats' response. I don't know if y'all touched on that, Trish, yesterday. I didn't get to listen to the whole show, but
Didn't have
it was okay. It was
Right
it
now,
was
it's time talking about just the
Yeah, I know. Well, there was a lot there.
There was a lot there.
It was a freshman senator named Melissa Slotkin from somewhere up north. And I know she has to make the speech. Well, she doesn't have to, but they usually choose to make their speech before so that they can practice it and look very special, because a lot of times it's a young politician trying to launch their career. But that worked against her yesterday, or day before yesterday, and it actually bit them because she made a speech of wholesome Americanism. You know, she said growing up, her mom was a Democrat and her dad was a Republican, but they came together on shared values. And what had been demonstrated right before her speech was that Democrats won't come together on anything. That little boy that was suffering from brain cancer lives in Al Green's district. He got himself kicked out, and he had to know that boy was up there because it goes through those channels. But it shows that the importance of ideas, and the only way to kill ideas is with ideas. And the Democratic Party is made up of two groups. There's a part of Democrats who are Americans and they're patriotic, but they have a different view of how to make America succeed. And then there's a group of leftists that have taken control of it. And they hate individual excellence because when individuals succeed, they no longer need them. I don't know if y'all remember the Life of Julia video that played during one of the DNC get-togethers when Obama was in office. But it encapsulated the life of a young girl from birth to death, never having a husband, and having the government involved all the way through her life. They live for that stuff.
that makes them feel important. It justifies their self-importance when the evidence around them destroys their self-importance. And so I think it's time for the patriotic Democrat to come out of that party and say, we are for girls. We don't want boys in there, but we don't want open borders. And leave it just the Marxist core that it is. And then when that happens, then that will fall apart, and we can have again two vibrant parties that love America and want America to continue. We can argue about these ideas. It's vital. We've had a couple of notable leaders in Central Louisiana come out of the Democratic Party, but they did so quietly. And I don't think it needs to be quiet. I think it needs to be with much fanfare. It needs to be like Reagan. I didn't leave you. You left me. I love America. And now you're cheering against Americans. And I think it's that time.
Well, it's interesting. You bring out the bipartisanship that Senator Slotkin shared, and she did talk about her mom and dad being different parties but coming together, but that was not modeled at all in the speech when all the folks wearing pink wouldn't even stand up for the ladies. And then interestingly, I don't know if you heard the story about Virginia Senator Mark Warner, who had some glowing comments about the way that illegal immigration was brought down significantly. And he actually had some high words of praise for the administration. And then the next day goes on MSNBC and retracts his words. He said, I wish I hadn't said that. I take back my words, because his fellow Democrats really hammered him and said, you can't praise Trump for anything. And, I think he's the same guy that right after the election in November, on a big group Zoom call that they had, said, listen, y'all, I have two little girls, and I am concerned about boys being in the locker room with them. I'm not sure if he's the same one, but I think it was from Virginia, a representative. And they pounced on him because they like to pretend they're for diversity of thought, but they are not. They punish any thought that does not agree with their leftist ideology. And that's dangerous. We know from history what that does. Well, I appreciated his willingness to speak, originally, but then I hate to see the way that he backtracked and kind of went back into the group thing. And even Senator, what's the senator from Pennsylvania?
Fetterman.
Fetterman.
Yeah.
Did he normally John will, kind of plow his own way, but he was brought in to heel even on the vote for women, Men and Women's Sports Act. So imagine the pressure on those people. And that's not American. Right. That's not American. So anyway, thank y'all for letting me speak. Thank you. Appreciate it very much. Thank you so much, Dave. 318-442-8255 is the number to call, and you can be a part of the show today. We're going to take another break here in a second. We've got another segment, and then at 7:50, Sherry Critcher from Christian Challenge will be calling in to talk about Team Cohen weekend that's taking place at Christian Challenge. I know a little bit about it, but
maybe a little bit about it.
She's the coordinator of it, and I want to give her the opportunity to call and share and hopefully encourage folks to come out and support this young man who is having a very courageous fight. We saw DJ Daniels with his 13-year-old brain cancer survivor, and I want to bring you a little clip by him when we come back right after this break. So stick around. More from Talkback coming up right after this.
KSYL. Dentures. Can't live with them, and you definitely can't live without them. But what if I told you there's a better way? Today's Dental in Pineville is here to revolutionize your smile. Say goodbye to old-fashioned adhesives and endless appointments. They've made getting implants incredibly simple, low anxiety, and affordable for everyone. Picture this: in-office IV sedation administered by a highly skilled certified nurse anesthetist, making the procedure low anxiety and stress-free. And the best part? The multiple finance options make implants truly affordable. Don't wait. If you're ready to replace those old-timey dentures with permanent implants, call Today's Dental on Highway 28 East in Pineville at 448-4540. It's a general dental facility owned by Dr. Jonas Goche. That's 448-4540. Your perfect smile is just a call away. Today's Dental, because you deserve the best.
Hi, I'm Trish Lala. Have you ever seen one of those nature documentaries about the Amazon River and those ferocious piranhas? My goodness, if a cow fell in there, it'd be nothing but bones and minutes. And back here in the good old USA, the housing market is just like that right now. So many buyers are hungry for new listings that homes are sometimes snapped up the same day. So if you've got a home, there's a lot of money to be made if you list it. Call the Trish Lala Group. We'll tell you all about it.
It's Talk Back, 970 AM, 104.9 FM, KSYO.
All right, let's go to DJ Daniels, the 13-year-old young man who was recognized by President Trump during his joint speech to the joint sessions on Tuesday evening. And here's something that he shares a little bit of his story. DJ Daniels from Houston, Texas.
But you want to know the craziest part? Because my mom bathed me and my brothers all together. And out of nowhere, I locked up. And then my dad was calling my name, and I started going to the slow thing. And he said, "Stop playing with me." And I started to act, I ain't gonna lie, I started to act slow. And then as soon as he said that, we was speeding all the way, running lights, going to the hospital. And then next thing you know, I was seizing on the table. They said, "No, we're gonna have to go on this brain tonight." Ever since then, I had 13 brain surgeries, and that's how many times my personality has changed. And that's something that you don't hear from a terminally ill child. They had 5 months to live. I'm going to keep on going until my gas tanks run out. And that's when God calls you home. You never know when God's going to call you home. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for my dad. And I know he's pretty proud of me, and I'm pretty proud of him too. And I'd like to thank President Trump, because if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be here today.
That's DJ Daniel on a little video that's put out by the White House. And you hear him say, I'm going to keep on going until my gas tank runs out. That's when God calls you home. You never know when God's going to call you home. I'm tearing up right now.
Absolutely.
Just hearing him speak. What a courageous story.
Yeah.
And the Secret Service themselves, they put their own post out saying how they were excited to welcome him, Special Agent DJ Daniel. And then there's even a little local spin on this you found.
I shared this on my What Makes Cenla Great page. The Pineville Police Department put out, which, by the way, I agree. It is so fabulous to follow the Pineville Police Department right now, and whoever is making those posts, yesterday's, like, that made my day. But this one is so great, and they're asking everyone to share it in hopes that Special Agent DJ will see this message. It says, "We heard that you love traveling and collecting police badges and commissions. If your journey brings you near the heart of Louisiana, we'd love to have you and your family visit us here at Pineville Police Department." So I shared that out there. Obviously, when I shared it this morning, there were over 500 and something shares. So hopefully it reaches him and he can make a trip over here. But, you know, my daughter and I were even talking about that yesterday when we were talking about the speech and that moment with him. And I mean, it brought her to tears, you know, a 20-year-old, and she's watching it. And then again, that moment when the president announced the kid that got into West Point. Oh, yeah. And he went over and gave him a high five. I mean, these things that you can't create those. And how do you not feel emotion with that? I don't care what side of the aisle you're on. And this kid just wants to be a law enforcement officer. I mean, there is no higher calling, right? And how do you not celebrate that?
When he was presented to that shield, that Special Secret Service, and then he hugs the guy that gives it to him, you know, I'm balling right then. And then later, like you said, when he came over and high-fived the guy that got put in West Point, that is just raw, genuine realness right there.
It is. You don't manufacture that. No. So, you know, so hopefully this message reaches him. Hopefully he can travel here to our area. We're not that far away. And he can collect his special badge.
Well,
here
and in the post, they even go on to say one of our officers and his family have offered to cover gas and lodging if needed. Just make sure you have the opportunity to stop by. And so they're hoping people will share. As of just a couple of minutes ago, it was 757 shares. And
you have to know, being in the Houston area
now,
that somehow it's going to reach him.
I sure hope so. That is so great.
The power of social media. We love it.
Well, congratulations. Pineville Police Department, what a great job you're doing on your website there, your Facebook page there. And it is an entertainment.
It is. And you know, one of the ones, I think it was last week, was about that not merge lane.
Oh, yes.
When you come off of the Pineville Expressway onto 28, which I know drives all of us crazy when you're driving and you go, it is a lane.
That's right.
It's not a merge. It's not a yield. It is a lane. And then all of a sudden you come up on somebody who's stopped right there because they think they have to merge. And so it was a very It was a very good post
There's
about that.
another one at the expressway exit on the 165 by Lowe's. There's the same thing.
Yes.
There's two lanes.
Yes, you're right.
The one on the right is a do not slow down. But what a lot of people don't realize is that lane actually extends past the red light, past the traffic signal.
Right.
We call them red lights, but they're sometimes green and sometimes yellow. So they're not always red lights.
That's true.
We call them red lights. But that lane extends past it.
Yes.
So I have found so many times, just get in that right lane, you can zoom right on through.
Yeah,
and,
but then you start doing that, and all of a sudden somebody stops because they don't realize it.
Right.
And so, which is another topic that I'm going to talk about. We're going to save that for 8 o'clock.
Okay.
Because I know a listener has messaged me a few times to talk about this issue, but I know we got a caller calling in pretty soon because we might get a few phone calls on this topic.
Okay.
But traffic sometimes can just be.
We forget how nice it was Monday and Tuesday, and there was no school.
I know.
It's like, oh, this is nice,
Well, and a lot of places were closed in honor of the holiday and all of those things, and it was a little easier to get around, wasn't it?
Even the Bayou Rapids intersection at MacArthur was just a piece of cake, which has got to be one of the worst ones in Central Louisiana.
I did that for so many years, having kids at Country Day. And, that left-hand turn signal there. I mean, how many times I said, could you just have it on long enough to get more than two cars through? Because then everybody tries to cut around by turning early at the little cut through there in front of the Mexican restaurant or going on down and trying to make a U-E. Like,
I think we're still in some of your thunder for the next hour, but we'll get back to it because there's plenty more thunder, more lightning where this thunder came from. I know because traffic is, and I've got, personally, the South Traffic Circle, I actually like the traffic circle myself. I may be one of the few people that like it.
Okay, I moved here after when I moved here, there was only one traffic circle. I've been here 20-something years, but there was only one traffic circle.
Okay.
So when you say it like that, I'm still like, wait, which one are you talking about?
That is hilarious because we still tell people sometimes, well, it's over there by where the North Traffic Circle used to be. They're like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, because I never went around the North Traffic Circle ever in my life.
The North Traffic Circle
where it was
difficult. It was much smaller. It was more like a roundabout, but not designed like a roundabout. So it was the size of a roundabout. So imagine that.
So it's small.
Very small. And it was down there by where the state troop is now.
Right.
Where the overpass and all that stuff. So it's no, you'd have to go back and see maps of it. But I personally I'm going to call it the South Traffic Circle because I grew up here.
The traffic circle.
The traffic circle. Especially if you just stay in the left lane.
I always stay in the left lane. I will not get in the right lane.
No.
Because again, that's where people don't even understand what they're doing. And you see how many accidents happening because people don't know what they're doing there.
Right.
Of course, this morning on my way here, I almost thought, because I always come in from the left lane, right? It's easier that way.
Absolutely.
But I had already gotten over the right lane and I'm going around. And I mean, I see the car coming off Masonic and he's not slowing down at all.
Ruh-roh.
And there's cars in front of me, cars behind me. And he managed to just squeeze in front of me. I had started slowing back a little bit, but I was like, this guy's just not even, what's he doing here? And he just flies right up in. Some people take that chance. I don't know. But yeah, left lane always for me.
Well, absolutely. Traffic tips with Trish.
There we go.
We'll have our traffic tips.
Hey, look, when you're in real estate around here, you pretty much know, here's the cut through to get around here, 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 and here, and here. So my kids will laugh at me about that all the time. Right. They're like, yeah, mom knows the shortcut for everywhere around town. So
absolutely.
Anyway, well, I know we've got your caller calling in. We'll go take our break.
We're going to find them, and then we'll come back and talk to you about Team Cohen Weekend at Christian Challenge.
Perfect.
More on KSWL right after this.
Talkback is sponsored by The Clinics with 27 providers and 3 locations. Someone can see you today. Stick around. More of Talkback is on the way.
Attention all real estate agents, property owners, and lenders. When you or a client needs a real estate attorney, call the professionals at Thompson Law Firm. Whether the legal matter is basic or complex, the Thompson Law Firm can accurately guide you or your client to a successful outcome. That's why numerous industry professionals have trusted the Thompson Law Firm for years. They also handle estate planning, successions, and business law. Call them at 473-0052. I am a paid non-client attorney spokesperson.
KSYO. To take part in the show, call 442-8255. 442.
Well, good morning. Welcome back to Talkback on this Thursday morning, and we're Happy to have on the line this morning Sherry Critcher, the coordinator of the Team Cohen Weekend this weekend at Christian Challenge on Friday and Saturday. Good morning, Sherry.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
I'm doing beautiful this beautiful day.
It is a beautiful morning and a beautiful day.
Well, I know where you
Yes,
live.
it is.
I know the view is pretty out there in the country where you live. So, but you have been coordinating this Team Cohen week. Actually, prior to this year, it was just Team Cohen Day. Once a year, an opportunity to people to come together and support Cohen Keys, a 9-year-old boy who has a very rare genetic disorder, who has to travel to Cincinnati Children's Hospital a couple times a year. But this year, you guys have turned it into a weekend. Tell us a little bit about Cohen and what got you interested in supporting him.
Cohen is an awesome child, and his dog Rebel is amazing. I spoke with Jennifer Keys last night to kind of give me a layman's term to explain what's wrong with him. At the age of 2, his body, his small intestine swelled closed and shut, so his body reacts to food like something that's foreign to his own body, and it attacks itself. So his esophagus, his stomach, his small intestines are all affected, and he can currently only eat 5 foods, and he can only try 1 new food every 3 months, depending on how his body reacts. So Cohen has been fighting against his own body for the last 7 years, and this is a lifetime disease. It has no cure, and treatments are just now being discovered. I love the Cohen's family, and we just really, really wanted to reach out and help them as much as possible. And since they have to travel so far away from home, and sometimes even locally to Baton Rouge, New Orleans and stuff, we wanted to do something fun for Cohen and the family, and also for our community. So Friday night, we are just doing a simple talent show for anyone who wants to share a special talent. If it's singing, if it's telling jokes, short skits, even lip syncing. So it's going to be a fun afternoon just to relax and enjoy. We will have a small cover charge of $2 per person. Not a cover charge, I'm sorry, a donation. The cover charges is to leave. So it's a donation to come in, a cover charge to leave.
I like that.
Once I get on the stage, they'll be paying faster to get out of there, I'm sure.
Yeah, no. Yeah, if I got on there, yes. But we do have a lot of our local artists that I wanted them to be able to share some of their art, it being paintings, colors, color pencils, drawings, sculptures, any type of art that they want to donate. So it can be brought to a Christian Challenge anytime, preferably Friday night, but Saturday morning will be fine. But it's going to be a donation, and then we're going to do a silent auction on all the art pieces, and 100% of that money will go to the Keys family. Along with, and we're hoping to have that up Friday night so we can start showing it, but the actual auction will not be until about 2 p.m. Saturday.
All right.
But
on Saturday, you've got a couple other things going on.
Yes, Saturday morning we'll start a chili cook-off contest and a cakewalk that everybody loves cake. So it doesn't have to be a cake. If you want to donate cake, pies, cookies, Rice Krispie treats, anything sweet, you can drop those off by Christian Challenge. That's going to start about 10 a.m. The chili cook-off. If you want to cook chili but don't want to be in the contest, we'll accept that. We're
because you're selling the chili that people make as a fundraiser as well, right?
Yes, we will be selling the chili with rice, cornbread, crackers, a bottle of water, and I think we settled down for $6. And that includes like a fourth of a cup of rice and 12 ounces of chili. So, and this chili's gonna be better than Wendy's.
Mm-hmm.
So That will start selling about 11:15 to 11:30.
And then the cakewalk will take place. Last year, that was a huge hit. I was really surprised at how many people like the cakewalk, because you buy a $1 ticket and you walk around till the music stops, and whatever number you're on, they draw the number and you get to pick. And there were some delicious homemade cakes there, German chocolate. I mean, every kind you can imagine. And there's nothing like a good homemade cake that Grandma made, or Aunt Sue or whatever. So that's going to be fun. And there'll probably be a few other activities for kiddos and whatnot. So Sherry, thank you for calling in and sharing about this. All of this is at Christian Challenge in Pineville, 300 Pierce Road, about a half mile behind Lowe's. And I think it's wonderful that you have taken this on over the last several years. I think we started doing this in 2020, and just Cohen also to celebrate him. And go ahead.
No, I was just in celebrating Cohen is a big thing.
Yeah, we want him to feel loved and celebrate, and his family, his sisters and brothers, and the whole family to feel just embraced. That it's very lonely. I can imagine in that where he's at. He can only eat. There's only 5 foods that he can eat, and he has to take. Well, there's a whole lot of medical stuff I don't even want to get into, but it's a lonely battle, and to be surrounded by people that are celebrating him and celebrating the family and his mom and dad. His mom's a teacher, his dad's a firefighter, just regular American people who have taken on this challenge. So what a great way to celebrate them. All that taking place Friday night at 6 o'clock with the talent show, and then Saturday starting at 10 with the chili cook-off and the art silent auction and the cakewalk, and probably some carnival games for kids to play and just come hang out.
Just to have fun.
That's right.
And they can follow them on Facebook and Team, TEAM Cohen, KOWEN, and there's ways on her group to donate.
Yeah, they have
if they would like to just donate.
That's right. You can go straight there. My personal Facebook page, if you go to facebook.com/NathanCCI, I have a post. I put up the most recent post that has details about it as well. And again, 100% of everything that comes in goes to this family. And when you meet Rumble, the dog, you can't help but fall in love with it. His service dog's absolutely wonderful. So thank you, Sherry. I appreciate your call this morning.
No problem. Glad to help any way I can.
All right. Very good. Well, we'll see you soon at the Team Cohen weekend.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks for calling. Well, there you go. That's going to be taking place this weekend.
And see, again, these are these things that are great about our community, how our community supports each other in these kinds of things. So I just found that. I'm glad she gave us that Facebook page. I can go share that on What Makes Sun Look Great Now, and hopefully we can get a lot of people to turn out for that.
You know what's neat to me, when we started this, in my mind, they came to me with the idea. I'm like, absolutely, let's do this. I was only thinking of the finances for the family.
Right.
I didn't realize what it would mean to him to have those people come out and support him, because he has to wear a mask every day.
Yeah. I mean, it's got to be a lonely battle there. Yes.
And so to get celebrated, be loved on. Yeah. She didn't mention, but they did a T-shirt competition, and he got to pick the winning design.
Awesome.
So those T-shirts will be on sale as well. All right, that wraps up hour 1. We'll be back with hour 2, which is all you and Trish's travel tips. It's how to traverse Central Louisiana with Trish and Nathan. Thanks for being here. We'll be back with you in the second hour, and look forward to talking to you then.
You've been listening to Talkback. The opinions expressed were those of the hosts and callers, and not necessarily those of Cenlaw Broadcasting.
FM 104.9, AM 970, KSYL, and KRRV 100.3 HD3 Alexandria. It's 8 o'clock.
CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by Progressive Insurance.
I'm Deborah Rodriguez. CBS News confirms President Trump could issue an executive order as early as today to start the process of shutting down the Education Department. Correspondent Ed O'Keefe says it would need congressional approval.
That would take at least 60 votes in the Senate, and there likely would be legal challenges as well to the president's attempt to do this. We should point out, though, Republicans have been talking about ending the Education Department since the Ronald Reagan years, so not necessarily something new, but will be notable if the president actually takes steps to do it.
Mr. Trump's given the nation's 3 big car makers a 1-month reprieve on 25% tariffs in hopes of convincing Ford, GM, and Stellantis to shift all production back to the U.S. As for Mexico and Canada, the new taxes remain. Ontario Premier Doug Ford.
He's really just creating chaos. There's one person responsible for that, and that's President Trump.
The president has issued what he calls a last warning to Hamas to release all of its hostages in Gaza or be destroyed. Correspondent Deborah Pata from East Jerusalem.
Hamas has responded by saying that Trump's threats only serve to encourage Israel to disregard the terms of the ceasefire agreed to in January. And now Israel has already cut off all aid to Gaza in a bid to force Hamas to accept an alternative agreement, which would really delay talks on ending the war, but still allow for the release of at least half of all the living hostages.
The president met with 8 former hostages at the White House yesterday. A late winter storm is causing major trouble in the Midwest with blizzard conditions across the Great Plains. This man's digging out in Omaha.
It's pretty wild how it's just rain to snow to just the wind and everything. It just seemed like it was shaking the house constantly all night.
Parts of Minnesota and Iowa got more than a foot of snow. The UN's out with a new report on women's rights. Deputy Chief of Research and Data, Laura Turkay.
Around the world, there is a growing backlash on gender equality. And actually, nearly a quarter of countries that reported as part of this review, they were less able to make progress because of this backlash.
The report cites the Supreme Court's overturning Roe v. Wade and global crises like human-caused climate change that disproportionately impact women and girls. Want to do one thing to protect yourself from tiny plastic particles that can damage your body? CBS's Wendy Gillette.
Researchers say switching from bottled water to filtered tap water can reduce your intake of microplastics by 90%. Microplastics are fragments of plastic found in all types of products, including fabrics and cosmetics, that can be harmful to health.
Dow futures off 407. This is CBS News.
Brought to you by Progressive Insurance. You could save big when you bundle your auto, home, motorcycle, RV, or boat. Visit Progressive.com.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, let's talk ED because millions of men experience it, but not everyone can access or afford treatments like Viagra. Well, HIMS can help. Through HIMS.com, you can get a full range of treatment options for ED, including daily or as-needed meds through a 100% online process. It all starts with an online intake form. Get started at hims.com/joy, and from there, a medical provider licensed in your state will determine if ED treatment is right for you. If prescribed, your medication is shipped to you for free. Find the ED treatment that fits your needs with options up to 95% less than the brand names. Millions of men experience ED, but HIMS can help. To start your free online visit and save up to 95%, go to hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy for your free online visit. HIMS.com/JOY.
Louisiana Radio Network, I'm Sean Burns. Louisiana's small business owners are urging lawmakers to address rising insurance costs through legal reforms in the upcoming legislative session. According to NFIB State Director Leah Long, lawsuit abuse is a major factor driving up insurance rates, and common sense reforms are necessary to stabilize the market and create a fair legal system.
Bring more transparency to the process. Lawsuit abuse increases insurance costs, and that's something that we're dealing with. That's something everyone's dealing with. So that's kind of our main goal right now for the 2025 session.
The session is set to begin April 14th. DOTD is working on implementing its strategic improvement plan. Secretary Joe Donahue says the department identified a few deficiencies in its operation, among them the inability to deliver projects on schedule.
The legislature has created the Highway Priority Program, which kind of sets out the criteria for how projects should be selected and prioritized for delivery. And historically, those projects would basically fall off track.
LRN.
Your honeymoon, anniversary, graduation, or birthday deserves more than just a party. It deserves an epic adventure. Sip wine in Tuscan villages among rolling olive groves. Soak up the sun or explore the rainforest in breathtaking Belize. Sail the crystal waters of Croatia on a dreamy island-hopping cruise. Annie and Christine at FreedomTravelLLC.com can make your next celebration legendary. Freedom Travel, where your journey begins.
Well, good morning. Another beautiful day for us with lots of sunshine. 65 will be the high. The wind's only light and variable throughout the day today. Now, increasing cloudiness overnight tonight down to 46 degrees. And our Friday, more clouds than sun. We're saying 77 for the afternoon high. Increasing clouds first on Friday night and then rain in the forecast on Saturday. From the Sedlaw Broadcasting Weather Center, that's your forecast. I'm Dave Gratian. Currently 41 degrees in Sedlaw.
Talkback is sponsored by The Clinics. With 27 providers and 3 locations, someone can see you today.
It's Talkback, Central Louisiana's longest running talk show. Whether it's the guests or the callers, Talkback is where Central Louisiana begins its conversation.
Well, good morning. Happy Thursday to you. It is the 6th day of March already.
Already.
Beware the Ides of March coming up next week, the 15th, of course. And that's just shows you how fast the year.
And then St. Patrick's Day already.
Another
My
reason to have a
own
parade.
Saint Day. I mean, you know, I get a whole party for my Saint Day.
Oh,
yeah.
That's your birthday?
No, it's not my birthday, but it's my Saint Day.
Oh, your Saint Day.
St. Patrick is my saint, you know.
How does that?
Again, I was supposed to be a boy. I was supposed to be Patrick, but instead I'm Patricia. So, you know, there we go.
How do you get a saint? You just get named after him?
Well, yeah, and I grew up Catholic, so there you go. Yeah.
I didn't know how that works. So that's cool. Educate the preacher today.
Yeah. I mean, hey, we're on a roll. I had a whole big parade for my husband's birthday on Sunday. So, yeah.
You'll never,
that was fabulous.
never top that.
I'll never top that. I know.
That's great.
How great was that?
Well, happy birthday to Shaquille O'Neal today.
Yes,
he turns
today is
53 years old.
And, you know, he just got done being, which one of the big, was it Bacchus? He was the king of down in New Orleans. So
I'm sure he enjoyed that.
Yep. And man, I hated it for Tuesday. All those like Zulu, all those that had to, they shifted the parade to like 7:30 in the morning start time, which I mean, probably nobody went to bed anyways. You know, everybody was just still up reveling in all of it. But trying to get all that in before all that weather came through.
Well, speaking of weather, it's been confirmed that Boyce did have a tornado hit there.
Yep.
And you've seen some of the pictures, I'm sure.
I have.
That there was some significant amount of destruction there. And I heard on the national news this morning, they were talking about the wind in South United States, including one tornado. I thought, well, I know where it was at. It was in Boyce.
Right.
So,
I know. I was watching Nick on one screen, you know, because for a while they're coming out of, you know, the Leesville area. A lot of those cones kept showing Woodworth and right in the middle of it. So, I think we were spared a lot of it.
Yes.
Like it went kind of just right north of us.
Right. And you know, those who were impacted by it, we feel for you, of course.
Absolutely.
But I loved having Nick call in Tuesday to the show, and we brought him on the live stream as well, and got to put his stuff full screen, his maps and everything. Technology is absolutely.
It has been fun running this because we did that one time before. I don't know if it was another severe fit like that, or if it was we were supposed to get snow or something. And yeah, he logged right in, and then he could share his screen. And so if you're watching us, you could see all of that going on there too. So it's great, all this technology. And I love the fact that with this, we can have guests from outside of our area, and they can also come on screen with us too, you know? We can share the link and they can be there, and you can actually see these guests, even though they're not right here in the studio.
We've done that a couple of times. We've got to work out a couple of bugs on the feedback loop, and we'll get that worked out, but it's awesome. I want to start the second hour. I know you have a traffic thing you want to talk about, but I want to, or something like that. You tease it, but I don't know what it's about. But I also wanted to mention as a local topic, because we'd love to have your phone calls on the BOM talk line 318-442-8255 about the Rapides Parish Police Jury's ambulance selection process. And they posted on their Facebook page yesterday a letter from Dr. Paul Carell, who is the chairman of the Ambulance Advisory Committee, the AAC, that met multiple times and did the scoring. And they released a letter that shared the each provider's total cumulative points as scored by the committee members, and then each provider that scored first place, number one, by each committee member. And it was interesting that the cumulative score, highest score, was Pafford EMS, which is really unknown to us.
I mean, I saw when the headline came out about who they had selected for this, I mean, And you know, Acadian has been a community partner for how long around here? And, you know, being a part of so many local organizations and fundraisers and things, they've always been somebody we could count on. They have sponsored, you know, they put their names on everything as a sponsor because they are such a community partner. Med Express was coming into the area doing the same thing a lot. I mean, you saw both those names so much. And then all of a sudden I saw this. I had never, ever heard of Pafford EMS. So I was like, who is this? You told me they're big in other states, other areas.
Right. They're big in Oklahoma, Arkansas, Mississippi. If you go to their website, they have a huge multi-state presence. They are a very large provider, but we've just never heard of them.
We've never heard of them. But that was my immediate concern. I was like, okay, who is this provider? And are they really going to be able to provide what we need here locally when I've never seen a single vehicle with that on it. I've never heard it, you know.
So interestingly
enough, the scores on this, you'd have to really see the breakdown, but it was very, very close on the total cumulative points. Pafford had 1,765 points, where Acadian had 1,751, and then Med Express had 1,668, and then Ameripro 1,416. But then you pointed out the ranking down there.
So each provider was scored, the 9 members could rank them 1 through 4, and 7 of the members actually ranked Acadian as their number 1 choice. Pafford had 2 votes, and then Med Express had 1, but Pafford had the highest cumulative score. So by 14, I think they beat that's a very close.
I mean, that's a very close score. I mean,
and so the headline was that Pafford gets the recommendation from the committee, but the letter kind of provides a broader picture that even though the committee is making the recommendation of Pafford, 7 of the committee members voted for Acadian as their first place choice, as I understand it. And so I don't know the date when the police jury is going to actually vote on that. The letter says, you know, from Dr. Carell, please advise me when a date is selected for the police jury to consider the ambulance proposals that were submitted to our committee, and I will attend that meeting to present this report in person. So very interesting. And you know, as you mentioned, Acadian's been a tremendous partner in the community. They're well known. They're kind of a Lafayette based, if I'm not mistaken.
Right. Yeah, they are Lafayette based.
I can remember years and years ago, I don't know if they still do it, but they had membership drives. They used to have membership drives, and you could join for a small annual fee, and you got discount on ambulance services and whatnot. I don't know if that's still such a big deal because they're so big now. They're multi-state.
Oh, absolutely.
And of course, now I did look. Pafford also has the airplane and the helicopter and, you know, all the ambulances. So it does look like they're similar. I don't know if size is the right term, but similar offerings. But
again, you know, and I'm not on that committee. I have no idea what went into all of that. But I do know what a community partner we've had, and what does that do to that partnership?
Right.
You know, I don't know. And are they going to come in and be that kind of a community partner too?
So we'd love to hear from you. If you have thoughts about the ambulance contract that will be given out, please give us a call on the BOM talk line, 318-442-8255. If you have an experience with a provider, you know, Med Express made a big run for it years ago, and they have stayed in the community as a local, as a local transport.
Right.
You can't provide the emergency services, but they provide.
You know, that reminds me though, this was another thing. And I told my daughter, I was driving my daughter yesterday. I said, this is something I'm going to have talked about on the show too, as I'm teeing back into traffic. So, there was an Acadian ambulance yesterday. My daughter and I were going up. We just in Pineville went past Raising Cane's, and you know there's a stoplight there at the Raising Cane's and Wendy's. We were heading towards P&G.
Okay.
And there was an ambulance coming down, and you know they have their lights on, everything, and the light was green for the people that were getting off the expressway from the north side to come and turn left to get onto 165 there. 5 or 6 cars went through that light and never, ever stopped. The ambulance, like, he kept pushing his button to, like, make the sound that the sirens I'm like, no, another car is going? Are you kidding me right now? These people, none of them stopped for that ambulance to go through that intersection. Both of us were kind of dumbfounded by that. Like, do people not understand what an emergency vehicle is sitting right there? I mean, they're waiting instead of just going. Because, you know, they don't want to get hit. Not a single person they all went ahead and turned left through that light.
So I don't know if they were tunnel focused and didn't see it, or they just didn't want to wait for the next light.
They just didn't want to wait for that light. I mean, is that like when you talk about how what's the word I'm trying to think of here? How focused everybody is on themselves.
Self-centered.
Self-centered, that was the word. Like how self-centered they are. That, oh no, it's my turn to turn left. I'm going to do it. I don't care whose loved one is sitting in that ambulance right now waiting to get through this light on their way to the hospital.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I'll tell you, as a person who's in a lot of funeral processions, you get out in the country, everybody pulls over the side of the road.
Everybody pulls over out of respect.
Yeah, not so much in town.
Yeah, but even my 20-year-old daughter was dumbfounded by the lack of respect there from people.
Wow. All right, we have a call. Good morning. You're on Talkback with Trish and Nathan.
I just have one very short comment about the ambulance scores.
Yes, sir.
At 1200, I forget exactly what you said, and there's a difference of 14. How long is it going to take this winter to set up the service in our area? I wouldn't give it to him for that small difference in scores, just for that reason.
That's a good
Having
point.
to set up a brand new system as compared to the one who's already here.
Well, it was 1,765 to 1,751. So really 14-point difference on a 17. That's not even 1% difference. So that's a good point. And there were a lot.
I wouldn't even come close.
Yeah, and there were a lot of. Well, I remember Pineville years ago bid out their, a couple of years ago, bid out their health insurance, which is a $3 million a year expense.
Right.
And the competitor came in $1 cheaper. You're not going to change,
No, by the time you change,
all these employees,
the cost of changing all of that.
$1.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So that's a great point, caller.
That is a good point.
And some of the comments on the Facebook page seem to be supporting the current provider. The employees that they have who have invested in our community. Of course, I would think that many of those employees would be hired by the new company. I would think, you would be looking for a local workforce. I don't know. But, the caller makes a good point of what does it take to set up and
When
get
it's somebody
leases.
that's not even here yet.
Mhm.
Yeah, right.
Great point. Caller, thank you for that.
You're welcome. Have a good day.
You too, sir. You too. Appreciate that. 442-8255. 318-442-8255.
Yeah.
Got to remember it because
remember that.
It'll be a 457 added to us pretty soon. Appreciate that. We have another call on the line. We want to go to you. Good morning. You're on Talkback with Trish and Nathan.
Hey, good morning. I have a dumb question. Why can't all the ambulance companies operate and we just call whoever we want to call?
Well, that's a great question. I think that's what the ambulance advisory committee was tasked with, was making a recommendation of, do you have a sole provider or do you have multiple providers? And there are some advocates for the free market side of things, but then there are others who say, when it comes to the interest of public safety, you want a single provider who is held responsible for every single call, rather than the confusion that can come in on rotating calls. That's an answer, not saying it's the answer.
Well, do they invest more? Do they station more ambulances around if they know they're the only provider? Or
good question.
Man, I don't know the answer. I think those are the great questions that I'm sure the police jury is having to contemplate. I would assume that in the contract there would be a minimum requirement of, maybe the police jury may even get to say, we want you to put stations here, 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 and here, in different places throughout the parish, so that they can maintain a decent response time.
Okay. Well, thanks for letting me ask you. Have a great day.
Yes, sir. You too. Thank you for that call.
But yeah, I mean, I'd want to talk with somebody in the dispatch, like why not have that round robin kind of thing? I don't know, because I'm not privy to all of those meetings and things, and I don't know how it's all set up. I don't know how the funding of it all works. So again, but that's why we ask for callers to call and
maybe somebody has some insight about that. I know, for example, in the wrecker service, there is a rotation that the wreckers have. And so the police department maintains a rotation of wreckers. If you're asked at an accident, you have an accident, and a police officer says, do you have a preference? And you say, yes, I want so-and-so, then they're going to be called out and, they'll take care of you. But if you say, I don't have a preference, then dispatch just looks at the very next one on the list and they call them. And if they're not available, they go to the next one. And so you're going to get a wrecker service happening pretty quickly.
Right.
Now, there is a difference. I think if the police calls you out with no preference, they can charge more. There's a state mandated limit versus if you select one, chances are you it's going to be a different fee. But in that moment, it's probably not as important to you. You just want to get taken care of, get your vehicle taken care of. But I say all that to say that's how that rotation works with wreckers. How would it work with ambulance?
I don't know. I mean, again, that's why I'm not privy to all of that. I don't know, what goes on behind the scenes in making these decisions and things. And I think, the most important thing is that they've got enough of a presence here to be there fast enough with the right equipment and the right people, all of those kinds of things, right?
Yeah, and if you in your area, you may know where the ambulance company parks at. They typically have a little place where their folks are housed and they make their response calls from. So they're not all coming just out of one station in Alexandria. You got to have some in South Rapids and out in Mobile and
because it's about response time. That's the thing there. Response time with the right equipment and the right people.
Yeah. Well, Pafford's made a run. Acadian has, made their pitch. And, man, with the scoring being, I'm just glad I'm not having to make that decision because the scoring is so close. I encourage people to go look at that post and look at all the comments and share with them. I'm sure your police juror would love to hear from you. I know as a elected official, I love hearing from people and their thoughts on things. So speak out about that. We're about a minute behind for the break. We're going to take it. When we come back, Trish's travel tips. On Talkback.
Talkback is sponsored by The Clinics with 27 providers and 3 locations. Someone can see you today. Stick around. More of Talkback is on the way.
The Clinics welcome Dr. Noah Miller, family medicine physician, to our team. Dr. Miller from Padrine, Louisiana, is now accepting new patients. Call today to schedule your appointment. Clinics offers a wide range of services, including primary care, family and chronic care, urgent and acute care with on-site lab and x-ray. Same-day appointments are available, and we accept most insurance and Medicare. Experience exceptional care at the Clinics, 1587 North Bolton. Call 445-9823 or look us up online at theclinics.us.
We're Sinlaw Broadcasting, local radio, doing local public service. Decades ago, Father Gerard Foley and the congregation at St. Francis Cabrini Church volunteered to help feed our needy. They started Manna House, a nonprofit soup kitchen on Lee Street, and within months, they were feeding almost 400 people a day. And now, more than 3 million meals later, Manna House still relies on volunteers and donations to keep their ministry going. Learn how you can help at GiveToMannaHouse.com. This has been a public service reminder from Sinlaw Broadcasting.
You see them almost everywhere. Panhandlers, standing on the corner with a sign. But the fact is, a lot of Sinlaw's homeless are unseen. And these are the people Central Louisiana Homeless Coalition is committed to help. Those in need can come in for a shower, do laundry, set up a mailing address, and connect with other local charities and housing programs. If you want to support people who are actually helping people, go online to Central Louisiana Homeless Coalition.
I truly believe, just as God assigns angels to us,
It's the unknown.
I think the devil, and he puts a bolder twist on it.
It's the unexpected.
I think he assigns demons to us.
It's the unbelievable.
And when those demons are assigned, they get to know everything.
Coast to Coast AM, late nights.
As crazy as that may sound, I truly believe there's something to it.
Overnights, it's Coast to Coast AM on Talk Radio 970 KSYL. Here's a personal invitation to one of our sister stations, Magic 100.9, where we play favorites from the 80s, 90s,
quit playing games with my heart,
and more.
What doesn't kill you makes you strong.
But all of your favorites and Delilah every night. Give us a try sometime. Magic 100.9.
If you'd like to take part in the show today, call the BOM Bank Talk line at 442-8255. That's 442-TALK. And remember, if you're looking to purchase or refinance your home, call Christina Bagwell at the BOM Bank Mortgage Department at 448-2430.
970 AM, 104.9 FM, KSYL. Now back to Talkback.
Can't thank BOM Bank enough, Christina Bagwell and the folks at the Mortgage Department for sponsoring the BOM Talkback number. Talk back to us at 318-442-8255. And finally, after teasing all morning long, Trish's travel tips.
It's not my travel tips, no.
Driving
not
tips?
A tip. No, it's an aggravation right now.
Okay.
And I meant to ask Greg Walker this yesterday on a liability aspect, but you never know when Greg's here what the topic is going to be. And then you get him started on wrestling, and then you can't get him off of talking about wrestling. And he and Al just start going. And anyway, I never got to ask him this. But I've had listeners ask me about this too. Like, how do we bring this up? If you have been traveling down Jackson Street extension towards the new roundabout there by Ash, probably you have noticed that after about 3:30 in the afternoon, you need to be very, very careful if you're traveling in the right lane, because people are lined up for the crawfish place that is a drive-through crawfish place right there, and they are blocking a whole line of traffic on Jackson Street. So you're going down Jackson Street, you've got 2 lanes going that direction, and all of a sudden there are cars dead stopped right in front of you. And then you're trying to jump over to the left lane, which the left lane is packed already. And then people are turning left out of the left lane. So that stopped. It is such a traffic hazard right now. And I passed yesterday at 3:30. We were on our way to the gym. We passed at 3:30. The place opens at 4:00. There were already cars lined up down the right lane of Jackson Street with their hazards on, waiting for them to open at 4. Wow. We came back through at 4:30, heading back home after the gym. The line of cars to go through that drive-through was back to the entrance to Ash.
No.
That's how far back cars were lined up on Jackson Street. And so, one, I don't know, are they giving away crawfish there? I don't know. There's lots of crawfish places in town. I don't know what it is about theirs that people are lined up like that to go in there. But the traffic hazard of all of those cars stopped right there on Jackson Street, and it goes on until they close every afternoon. And, I don't know what is the liability of the business there when somebody comes along and then ends up crashing into the last car in line. Wow. And then that car hits the car in front and the car in front. And those business owners along there, we saw yesterday a business owner trying to get out of their own business, and they can't even get out because all those cars are just sitting there blocking all of the traffic. So, word of caution, if you're going down Jackson Street at that time of day, be very, very careful.
Well, gosh. Yeah. That's the kind of headache that a public official doesn't want to have, because you've got to deal with it. And, stacking on a public road is not allowed. It's not, but there's no shoulder there. And
that's what I wondered. Like, what is what is allowed there? What's not allowed there?
I don't think it's legal, but I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to speak out of place. Certainly, I'm sure. I know we have city officials that are listening, and they'll take it into consideration. In fact, I got a call from one just a moment ago who was helping me understand about the ambulance situation, and his response to me was that there's simply not enough money to fund 2 ambulance providers. You can't afford to have 2 helicopters in town and duplicate all of the ambulances that would be needed. So that's why the sole provider.
We might have someone giving us a call here in a little bit too to kind of talk about that a little bit, because it is. I mean, that's what the public needs to understand. Here is why this is the discussion, right?
So I appreciate that. We do have a call. Let's see if we can take it on the line. Good morning. You're on Talk Back with Trish and Nathan.
Hey, Trish and Nathan, this is Sean McLaughlin from the police jury.
Yes, sir.
I was calling to answer a couple of the questions that some of the callers had.
Terrific.
First question was, why don't we have multiple providers?
Right.
And there's not enough money to go around to have multiple providers. 60% of the calls are made in the city limits of Alexandria, and not every one of those emergency calls are guaranteed that the ambulance company will get paid. So if you had multiple providers, there wouldn't be enough to provide the necessary equipment to cover the whole parish.
Wow. Okay.
The second thing is, if you were having a heart attack at your house, and there was an ambulance that was 2 minutes away, and there was an ambulance that was 15 minutes away, which ambulance would you prefer come to your house?
Obviously, the one that
was 2 minutes away.
Right.
Well, they're not the next one on. They're not the next one on the rotation. The one that's 15 minutes away is the next one on the rotation.
Excellent.
Good point. Yeah.
Well, Sean, I appreciate that. Can you stick on the line for a minute? We have a bottom of the hour break we got to take, but I want to ask you a couple more questions if you have time.
Sure, I do, Nathan.
Great. Thank you, Sean. I appreciate it. Sean McLaughlin, the Rapides Parish Police Jury. We'll come back with him and a couple more questions right after this.
Talkback is sponsored by The Clinics with 27 providers and 3 locations. Someone can see you today. Stick around. More of Talkback is on the way.
This is a Bloomberg Money Minute. U.S. employers in February announced the most job layoffs since early in the pandemic. The government sector saw the biggest job cuts as the Trump administration moved to shrink the federal workforce. Over 172,000 layoffs were announced, a 103% increase from last year, and the most since July of 2020, with the federal government cutting over 62,000 people. Macy's gave a more downbeat outlook for sales and profit this year than Wall Street had been expecting. The company's forecast of net sales in the current fiscal year was below the average estimate from analysts surveyed by Bloomberg. Macy's also said it's expecting sales from e-commerce and stores that have been open for at least a year to fall by as much as 2% this year versus the prior year. Walmart is looking for major price reductions from its Chinese suppliers as retail giant looks to offset the cost of new tariffs on goods imported from China. Walmart is said to be asking for reductions of up to 10%, with sources saying they're getting some strong pushback as suppliers are already dealing with razor-thin margins. I'm Dan Schwartzman, Bloomberg Radio.
Dentures. Can't live with them, and you definitely can't live without them. But what if I told you there's a better way? Today's Dental in Pineville is here to revolutionize your smile. Say goodbye to old-fashioned adhesives and endless appointments. They've made getting implants incredibly simple, low anxiety, and affordable for everyone. Picture this: in-office IV sedation administered by a highly skilled certified nurse anesthetist, making the procedure low anxiety and stress-free. And the best part? Their multiple finance options make implants truly affordable. Don't wait. If you're ready to replace those old-timey dentures with permanent implants, call Today's Dental on Highway 28 East in Pineville at 448-4540. It's a general dental facility owned by Dr. Jonas Goche. That's 448-4540. Your perfect smile is just a call away. Today's Dental, because you deserve the best.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Hi, I'm Chuck McDowell, the timeshare cancellation guy and founder of Wesley Financial Group. And I want to set the record straight. I am not an attorney. I've never wanted to be an attorney. And the truth is, I really don't even like attorneys. If I sound like an attorney or if I look like an attorney, I'll apologize. But what I've learned in my 15 years in the timeshare cancellation business is you don't need to be an attorney to get folks out of their timeshare. At Wesley, we've helped over 40,000 families cancel their timeshare without me being an attorney. And I want to share with you how we do it. Just give my office a call, and you will not talk to an attorney. And I guarantee if we take you as a client, we'll get you out of your timeshare or you'll pay nothing.
Call now for your free information kit. 800-714-9090. 800-714-9090. 800-714-9090.
Good morning. Another beautiful day for us with lots of sunshine. 65 will be the high. The wind's only light and variable throughout the day today. Now, increasing cloudiness overnight tonight down to 46 degrees. And our Friday, more clouds than sun. We're saying 77 for the afternoon high. Increasing clouds first on Friday night and then rain in the forecast on Saturday. From the Sedlaw Broadcasting Weather Center, that's your forecast. I'm Dave Gratian. Currently 41 degrees in Sedlaw.
To take part in the show, call 442-8255. That's 442-978. KSYL. Now, back to talk back.
Welcome back to the show, and we are joined on the line by Rapides Parish Police Jury for District G, Sean McLaughlin, who graciously called in to answer some of our questions. Sean, thank you so much for calling and helping us understand the reasoning, the financial reasoning why a parish the size of ours would choose one provider. It just doesn't make sense financially to have two. But the follow-up question is that the ambulance committee has made a recommendation that was reported on by local media, and then this letter comes out and seems to say it's not as clear-cut as a headline, that the cumulative voting was very close, and actually several of the committee members actually recommended Acadian. So the question is the police jury bound by this recommendation, or can you still take flexibility in making the final decision?
First of all, thanks again, Nathan, for having me on, and Trish for having me on the show. Headlines are not always clear. They're always a little confusing. But no, we are not bound by the recommendation. However, we are taking into consideration, the scores. It's kind of a split decision if you look at it, which makes it tough for the jury.
It does.
But hopefully, I know I'm doing my due diligence to try to get in touch with everyone that I know that is involved to get their opinion on how they would like to move forward. And I'm hoping that all my fellow jurors are doing the same thing. Acadian has a history in our parish, and that they can be judged for that. None of the other providers have a history, so they're not being judged for what they did not do or what they did do in the past.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately for Acadian, that's the case. But when it comes to the ambulance board's recommendation, it's just a recommendation, and the jury can, with 5 votes, they can go whichever way they would choose to go.
And is there still opportunity for public comment as you guys go into making that decision?
Absolutely. We're going to have another meeting next week. It'll be at the police jury office. That meeting has not been scheduled yet, but this meeting is strictly for ambulance committee discussion, so we can try to figure out how we're going to move forward. And it's open to the public, and we welcome people to come. Unfortunately, the ambulance committee had probably 7 meetings, and there was very little attendance from the public, which was discouraging, but not surprising.
Well, so I understand that the date has not been set by the President Smith of the actual date for the vote, but that will be probably released next week, you think?
Yes, sir. Well, we'll have to give 24-hour notice.
Of course.
We will post it on Facebook website, and the media will get a notice of when the meeting will be. But I'm guessing that he would probably do it midday in the middle of next week.
Very good.
So for all those people that weren't paying attention and, like you said, didn't show up for those committee meetings where they could have voiced an opinion, keep watch for this, because if you have an opinion and you want to voice it, that's the time to show up.
Yes, and look, if you've got a group of people that you want to pick a representative to come up and speak for you on behalf of you, we're happy to have them there and to get their ideas and opinions on how we can move forward. We just want what's best for the parish. And,
right.
If you have multiple providers, it's going to be confusing. It's going to be financially stressful on all the providers because, an emergency pickup, you have to pick up the patient. But you're not guaranteed that you're going to get paid. Transport is where the money is because you're guaranteed to get paid. So whoever the provider is, if it's Pafford or Acadian, when they make their emergency runs, they're not guaranteed that they're going to get paid for that emergency.
Wow.
So
that's kind of like a hospital emergency room. They're required to provide life-saving medical care, but they may not get paid for that. So well said.
Correct.
Well, kudos.
And that's a lot of the problem.
Yeah. Well, kudos to you guys on the police jury for putting out the letter and seeking more input. As you said, the 5 or 6 or 7 meetings that the ambulance committee had low attendance, but I know people are paying attention now. And again, I credit you guys for being transparent and seeking as much input as possible.
Yeah, and we want public input. So if you can make it to the meeting, please do. And like I said, we can't let everyone speak, but if you have a group and you want to appoint a spokesperson for your group, we'll give them the time and let them, tell us the pros and cons from your side.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much. District G, Rapides Parish Police Jury, Sean McLaughlin, thank you for calling in this morning and bringing clarity to the conversation.
Right. That's the beauty of this radio thing right here. Yeah.
Thank you, Sean.
We put out the questions, and so now we get some of those answers and get to highlight the opportunity for people who do have questions and concerns.
I love that because we simply asked the questions,
right?
And we got text messages, phone calls, and a live call on air from a police juror. I worked with Sean over on the RAPC and found him to be, listens. He votes his conscience, and I really appreciate the entire leadership that they're providing. All right, let's take the break. We'll be back with more right after this.
Talkback is sponsored by The Clinics with 27 providers and 3 locations. Someone can see you today. Stick around. More of Talkback is on the way.
When the heat and humidity hit central Louisiana, keep the fun sizzling while staying cool. Bounce into excitement at our indoor trampoline park and play centers. Cool off at local area arcades or immerse yourself in creativity at downtown art and children's museums. Beat the heat and savor the flavors at our local restaurants. Your taste buds will thank you. Strike up some fun. Hit the lanes for some cool bowling adventure. Visit explorelouisiana.com to plan your trip today. And for more cool ideas, go to alexandriapinebellla.com.
Your health and independence are important. My Place Louisiana is here to help. From assistance with equipment to housing, we help eligible adults and children with medical needs use their Medicaid funds to live independently in the community again. If you or a loved one have been in the nursing home, hospital, or institutional setting for more than 60 days, you may qualify. To learn more, visit myplacelouisiana.com. 100% funded by CMS-HHS. The contents do not necessarily represent the views of, nor endorsement by CMS-HHS or the U.S. government.
We're Zinlaw Broadcasting, local radio doing local public service.
The Exchange Club of Central Louisiana is a group of men and women working together to make our communities better places to live through various service programs, namely youth activities, Americanism, community service, and the Exchange Club's national project, the prevention of child abuse. The name Exchange was selected because the group wanted to exchange ideas and information with other like-minded individuals. Learn more at nationalexchangeclub.org.
This has been a public service reminder from Zinlaw Broadcasting. Retirement can be scary, but only if you're not prepared. That's why AARP created thisispretirement.org. Because unless you've already retired, you're in pretirement, and you still have time to plan. Learn about retirement savings options, potential tax breaks, and how you can build savings over time. Visit thisispretirement.org for free resources to help you customize your action plan and feel the retirement fear disappear. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council. If you're a woman, talk to your doctor by age 25 about your risk of getting breast cancer. More women under 40 are getting breast cancer, and these cancers are often more deadly. The American College of Radiology recommends you ask your doctor if you should get a mammogram before age 40, need other tests like an MRI with your yearly mammogram, or if at high risk should be checked more than once a year. For more information, visit mammographysaveslives.org.
Teachers are diverse, skilled leaders, innovating to prepare students for our fast-changing world. Teaching shapes lives. Are you ready? Explore teaching at teach.org, supported by the U.S. Department of Education and 1 million teachers of color.
Now back to Talk Back, 970 AM, 104.9 FM, KSYO.
Well, good morning and welcome back to KSYO. We've got another caller on the line. Good morning. You're on Talk Back with Trish and Nathan.
Hey, good morning, guys. Tom Spencer. How are y'all doing?
Hey, good, Tom. How are you?
Oh, doing well. You know, I worked in the ambulance industry for a little bit.
I thought that was a little bit of your background.
Yeah, 30 years worth.
Just a little bit.
Well, kind of got to know the ins and outs. And I worked everywhere, you know, from working on an ambulance to the administrative side of it. And on the heels of what Sean's saying, there's just more to it than meets the eye. You know, with emergency calls, you know, the people that stab and shoot one another generally don't have the best health insurance plans and, you know, attended to their bills and stuff. But even on the non-emergency side, you're not guaranteed 100% payment on those. Medicare, you know, can deny it due to not meeting a medical necessity criteria. There's just a whole lot of factors involved.
Wow. You know, since you worked in the industry, let me ask, and if you don't know, that's okay, but if there's a sole provider in the parish and they're providing both emergency and transport, do they have to keep a minimum number of emergency responses and like only use a transport fleet for transports? Or how does it work?
It's a mixed bag. You know, ideally, you want to have every unit duplicated the same, and you want that to be an ALS unit on every call because that's advanced life support with a paramedic. But it's times have changed with technology. You're better able to, you know, dedicate a fleet just for that non-emergency stuff, and then, you know, increase your fleet. You know, it's it's a game just like any other business, you know. And fortunately in Rapides Parish, because of the rural nature of our parish, you know, we're really fortunate that we hadn't had to have a tax-based subsidy to subsidize an ambulance service to provide those things. So to still be able to do it through a private service is good. I'm a proponent of a sole provider system, you know, regardless of who that provider is. The important questions are in the event you have, say, a catastrophic event, you know, a bus wreck, something like that, and you have to pull resources from, you know, other coverage areas. You want to make sure that that provider is going to have the resources to do so, and that all their eggs aren't just in Rapides Parish.
Wow. True.
So, you know, like if you've got, with Acadian, you can pull from Evangeline, you can pull from Avoyles Parish. There's lots of resources to pull from.
I didn't think about that too.
That's a terrific point perspective. Yeah, so if you go with a company that I don't know how many, you know, Pafford has in Louisiana, but if their closest one is Shreveport, it's going to be hard to pull from a neighboring parish. So wow, that's a great perspective. Now,
right. And you know, and you can plan on your non-emergency stuff. You generally have those scheduled in advance. Not always, but I would say 50% of your non-emergency stuff is scheduled in advance. You know you're going to be taking that patient to dialysis 3 times a week.
Right.
And then some of it's, you know, a hospital discharge, you know, that you need to go get that patient and get them home. And, but with the emergencies, you have no way of knowing. You can look at trends and, you know, good companies do that. They look at trends of days of the week, you know, times of the day when, you know, the emergency calls are up. And you can kind of plan a little bit, but you can't plan on a bus hitting a train.
Right.
You know, you don't know, and you can't plan on explosions at a plant. You know, you can't plan on any of that. So it's nice to have resources available in the event of.
Well, and I don't want my comment to be taken as pro or con either one. It's, you know, I don't relish. I don't feel. What's the word?
You don't have a dog in the hunt.
Well, that, and I don't envy the police jurors having to make the decision, because they have to take in these kinds of information that you're sharing that may not be as quantifiable as just a checkbox on a small
But again, something that I didn't think about either is exactly. I mean, nobody wants one of those catastrophic things to happen. But if they do, you want to make sure that whoever it is has the resources readily available for that. So that's got to weigh into it.
Yeah, the mass casualty events are something you always, you know, hope for the best, but, you know, plan for the worst.
So if you were in the industry for 30 years, I don't remember when Acadian came. I remember before Acadian, it seemed like we had a parish-run system, if I recall.
Well, I can tell you, I was a part of all that. I worked at Centerline Ambulance, which was owned by both hospitals, you know, prior to Acadian coming. And when I started in 1987, we had 2 ambulances parked at Rapides General and 1 helicopter. And we were covering all of Avoyles, Grant, and Rapides Parish with 2 ambulances.
No, really?
I remember, you know, 1987, I remember getting a call at Rapides General, and we would run lights and sirens to Colfax.
Oh, my goodness.
We would run lights and sirens to Marksville. So you're looking at a 30-minute response time there. And I think, you know, now they've built in. I've been separated from Acadian for a long time, just because I took an early retirement and started my own stuff. But you know, back when I was around, they started in 1995, July 15th, 1995. Is when the Rapides operation started, and it went through the RFP process similar to what they're doing now. And it's always good to enhance that RFP because, you know, things change. You know, your population base, you know, goes back and forth, and, you know, it can increase, and you can build in some beef to your RFP to say, hey, you know, this isn't working anymore. But a provider that's been there for 30 years, give them a chance to correct it. You know, maybe they didn't correct it on their own, you know, I don't know, you know, and in time, at the end of the day, you know, but if you say, hey, we want you guys to respond within 8 minutes inside the city limits of Alexandria to every call with an ALS unit, give them an opportunity to do that, because it's beyond just the business side of it. There's a human side of it too, of all the employees locally here that have been here building careers, you know, for the last 30 years. And what happens to those guys if a new provider comes?
Yeah. Well, that's a great comment. Another thing I'm not positive on, maybe you'll know, I think that municipalities could have their own contract separate from the police jury's contract.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's all.
But typically they follow the police jury. Typically they have in the past, but that is possible, right?
It's very possible. Yeah. The city of Pineville could do something independent of their own, and that's not uncommon. But you need to look at it from a big picture as, the parish, because our, us being rural in nature, again, being able that the people in Forest Hill and DeVille and those areas have access to the same service as, the people in the metro areas. Of course, it's not going to be identical. You're not going to get an 8-minute response in DeVille. Correct. It's going to take a little longer to get out there. Back in 95, Sheriff Bill Belt had a tax in Avoyles Parish that everybody in the parish paid this tax, and he made sure he had 3 ambulances in their parish. But again, that was tax-based, and I don't think anybody wants to be taxed anymore.
Right.
So you have to do it on the economics that are there. And, you can't go out and do a wallet biopsy of a patient who's having an emergency, and then like Sean said, with the rotation, you're not guaranteed the closest ambulance. And then, if it came down to it and you get a heart attack call in a very prestigious neighborhood, everyone's available to run that call. But if you get a shooting in a not so prestigious neighborhood, they're like, hey, I may not be available for that call.
Wow. Yeah, that was your initial point is, you're only getting paid for so many of the calls because, and unfortunately, that's a lot of the calls in our area they're getting are, those kinds of calls, shooting, stabbing, something like that. So, hey, thank you so much for the phone call. We appreciate all the points that you made.
And nothing against Pafford Ambulance Service or Acadian Ambulance. I've worked for several ambulance services across the state. They're all wanting to do a good job.
Of course,
everybody's wanting to do a good job, but the infrastructure has to be set up for them to succeed. You want them to succeed. You don't want anybody hurting.
Well, you used
regardless of the provider.
I appreciate your call so much, Tom. Unfortunately, we were a couple of minutes past our break, but thank you for providing that insight to us. That's the beauty of Talkback. Thank you, Tom. We'll be back with more calls after this.
It's sponsored by the Clinics with 27 providers and 3 locations. Someone can see you today. Stick around. More of Talkback is on the way.
Louisiana's moving forward. Crime rates are tumbling. Education, our best test scores ever. Governor Landry announced the largest jobs and economic growth project in Louisiana history. 10+ billion private sector dollars. Now we keep Louisiana moving forward with a yes vote on Amendment 2, March 29th. Amendment 2 permanently lowers the maximum income tax rate. It pays down debt and gives our teachers a permanent salary increase. It keeps the homestead exemption and exemptions for religious organizations. Amendment 2 doubles the senior citizen tax deduction. And Amendment 2 builds on Governor Landry's efforts stopping unneeded spending with a permanent government growth limit. Let's keep Louisiana moving forward by voting yes on Amendment 2. Paid for by Make Louisiana Great Again.
Yesterday, I talked about what folks 100 years ago thought travel would be like in 2025. Here's what experts predict travel will be like decades in the future. From America's #1 travel radio show, this is your Arm World Travel Minute. I'm Rudy Maxa. Space travel is a fairly common prediction, not surprising, but future travelers can also look forward to undersea tourism, complete with underwater resorts and cities. Electric and hydrogen-powered planes could become mainstream, drastically reducing emissions. Hotels and resorts will be built with eco-friendly materials using AI to optimize energy consumption. AI will also revolutionize trip planning, providing real-time personalized recommendations. And while virtual travel is available today, if you can afford the headsets, it will be much more immersive, and you'll really feel as if you're going up the Eiffel Tower or seeing Venice by gondola. Supersonic jets, faster and quieter than Concorde, will be commonplace, and Hyperloops will zip travelers through tunnels at dizzying speeds. And that is what your grandchildren may be able to look forward to in the future. More travel info at armworldtravel.com.
We're Sinlaw Broadcasting, local and proud of it, just like this group.
The Central Louisiana chapter of the American Red Cross is located on Bolton Avenue, right here in Alexandria. Their mission is to prevent human suffering in the face of emergencies by mobilizing the generosity of donors and the power of volunteers. And since volunteers are a big part of everything they do, they can use your help. Learn more online at redcross.org.
This has been a public service reminder from Sinlaw Broadcasting.
Do you have a drug problem? Do you want to stop? Well, there are folks who can help. Call Narcotics Anonymous at 1-585-DON'T-USE or visit their website at larna.org for more information.
970 AM, 104.9 FM, KSYM. To take part in the show, call 442-8255. That's 442-TALK. Talk back.
I love our callers. We have the best listeners between the elected officials who call in, drop a dime with us, let us know what's going on. The callers that give us insight. It's just absolutely wonderful.
Because like both of us said, we don't know.
Right.
And so great information we got from elected officials that called us during our break, called in on the show. And thanks again, Tom, for his input on that too, since he's been in that arena and knows all of that kind of stuff. And so it is. It's good for all of us who, reach out to your police juror. If you want to give them your input, reach out to them or show up for that meeting.
That's great stuff. We were talking during the break that early voting starts next Saturday, March the 15th. And for those of you who are interested in that, where it's going to take place, remember that the Registrar of Voters has changed locations for the construction that's going on in the courthouse. They're in the Kinetics building right now. So if you need to register to vote, if there's something that you need to do, the primary election itself is on... lost it. 3/28. No, that's the deadline to register by mail. It's 3/28. March 29th. There it is, right there at the top of the screen.
We got one last caller right before the show's about to spin out, but we'll see what our caller has right here.
Good morning. You're on Talkback with Trish and Nathan.
Hey, how y'all doing this morning?
Doing great. How are you?
I'm doing well. I just wanted to add one more thing about Acadian. They actually have 5 different high schools that they set up MT program.
Oh, wow.
So when those kids graduate from high school, they are immediately hireable by Acadian to go to work.
That's impressive.
That's a great program, too, because a great thing to be able to walk out of high school straight into that kind of a position, and very much needed in our community.
And also they have the schools, they have, I think, 13 schools across the South, but in Rapides Parish, they could further their career and become paramedics.
So I didn't know how broad that was. I knew that Tioga High School had the EMS program because my kids were there.
Ash, Buddy, I can't think of the other 2 right off the bat. But
wow,
I know there's
terrific.
5.
Well, that is great information.
Yeah, thank you for calling and letting us know that too.
Well, you're welcome, and we appreciate y'all being on the air every morning.
Thank you, man.
Thank you.
Love the callers and listeners, the best. Speaking of Peabody, congratulations to them. Monday night won their playoff game, and they'll be playing Friday night in the next round of playoffs. If they win there, then they'll be headed to Burton Coliseum for the state championship under Naismith Hall of Fame coach Charles Smith. He is one of the most fine men you'll ever meet in your life.
Yeah. I love listening to him a few weeks ago at Rotary. It's terrific every time you get to listen to him speak.
Great. Well, Trish, we didn't cover all the topics, but we had fun this morning, and even had some travel tips from Trish. I'm going to have a new segment every time we're on travel tips with Trish's travel tips. But nevertheless, thank you for being here today. And tomorrow, Al and Sandra are back in the studio. They'll be wrapping up the week, and I hope you guys have a great weekend. Don't forget Team Cohen weekend, Friday and Saturday at Christian Challenge, talent show Friday night, a chili cook-off on Saturday. Come support Cohen Keys. Everybody have a great weekend.
You've been listening to Talkback.